All right, let's go. Episode number 7 of Down Pat, the Patriots podcast. We got a good episode today. It is a victory episode, albeit it was over the Texans. The game was a little bit more interesting, or I guess it was a little bit closer than we had thought. But we do have a victory episode. We'll talk about that. We're going to get into sort of our, who's impressed us. Few games through the season now, first quarter of the season, who has disappointed. And then obviously we'll talk this upcoming week against the Cowboys because that should be a good one. Adam, Jake, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing great.
Adam mixed up his setting. He's in a different state now, so
yeah, I hopped around.
Hopped the board.
I guess I'll get into it right away. Recap of this game. I said going into this game, I wanted the exact opposite to happen. I wanted to get out to a lead. I wanted to look like a much better team than the awful Houston Texans with also a rookie quarterback. And that didn't happen. Davis Mills looks pretty good. And yeah, honestly, I don't know how a Patriots fan could be feeling good about this win. The only thing that I would say is a positive is they finally won a close game. But did they win the game, or the Texans lose the game down the stretch without roughing the pat? That's where it's tough. I think talking about this game right now, the Patriots are 2-3, and their 2 wins are both against rookie quarterbacks and probably the 2 worst teams in the NFL. So if I'm looking at the Patriots after this game, I think we're a pretty bad team. There's not a lot of positives I can take from that game. So I hope I'm proven wrong this coming week. Jake, take it away.
First off, I just want to give a shout out. I'm wearing Teddy Celtic today.
Oh, let's go.
As
Link in
brand.
the description. Link in the description.
Just a little shout out to the brand.
Down Pat merch coming pretty soon.
Good. Shout out to the brand. Just want to get that off my chest. Ha, no pun intended. Yeah, same.
That went from a good, nice little plug to an absolutely regrettable one.
Can you want to cancel it out? Just take it out of the video.
Edit.
Yeah, same take as Adam here.
Cancel it out of the video. All right, come on, let's go.
All right, I was going. Miller Lite ad too over here. Jeez. Yeah, no, same take as Adam. Like, definitely disappointing game. I mean, I coming off the Bucs win, you'd think like, okay, maybe they're showing signs of being a good team, and now again, that didn't look like a playoff team at all, in my opinion. That looked like looking for a top 10 pick type of team. There's just so many holes right now in this roster, top to bottom. I thought they got bailed out by the rookie quarterback again. Second half, I thought he was the best player in that team. I think first half showed a lot of like rookie signs. I think that was maybe his worst half of football as a Patriot. But second half,
I think it was his worst. Like I think it was like that was the worst I'd seen his decision making. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like he was throwing it into like 4 guys, and I'm like, well, that looks like
there was one play in particular where he like kind of rolled out to the left, and threw. I think it was already after his first interception. He threw it like trying over a defender, like 15 yards, 20 yards on the field. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that should be a pick. That only like 2 or 3 guys in the league can make that play. You're not one of them, and like, I don't think ever. Like that takes special arm talent to do that throw. Like that was like, and so maybe it's just one of those things where he's pressing and trying to do too much and trying to see what his limits are in the NFL, but not the situation to do that when you're already down and do an interception. But second half, I thought he was fantastic. I don't know if you caught this moment, but when he threw that touchdown pass to Hunter Henry, they showed McDaniels and Belichick talking on the sideline, and I feel like Belichick said, "Josh, where the hell is that play call been all year?" Like. You finally
only you would notice that though.
No, but seriously, it's like you finally throwing the end zone. He throws a touchdown. It's like, stop throwing 3 screens in a row. I mean, they almost.
That might have been the first ball I threw in the end zone all season long.
Seriously, and it was a dime. It was a perfect throw, and it's like, stop killing all your momentum in the red zone by throwing screen after screen after screen. The 3 screens in a row, I honestly wanted to smash my TV. Like I was so over Josh McDaniels at the point. So hopefully after that, they take from the game film. It's like, all right, like. The kid can make good decisions down here. Like, throw in the end zone. We signed 2 tight ends to $1 jillion. Like, let him throw. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I guess we can get into more like the expectations of the season.
The O-line was good though. Like that's surprising. I don't know.
Great.
Does the Texans D line that bad?
And they have some guys like Whitney Merciless is still on the roster with Adam. You love that guy.
And I just like Whitney Merciless is the kind of guy who just always gives the Patriots problems. I always thought the Patriots would. We have a history of signing guys who play well against us, like C. Wes Welker, like that's where he came from. There's a few other ones, but like I always
Scott
pictured Whitney
Chandler.
Merciless. Yeah, Scott Chandler is a
Scott
good
Chandler
example.
killed
Like,
us.
yeah, Scott Chandler has
Same
7
worse.
touchdowns all year. Then like 6 of them are against the Patriots in those 2 games. Like that is kind of like Ben Bill's blueprint on some of his signings. And I've always seen Whitney Merciless as a future Patriot. Now he's getting older. He's probably a Texan for life, which stinks for him, by the way. I'd love that guy to play on a team that could win, but whatever.
Good thing we're not showing waist down for Adam right now. Talk about Whitney Merciless.
He's a good player. But anyways, he
Doesn't deny it.
He doesn't deny it.
The O-line, like I remember seeing those tweets with like COVID and all. What you got? 4 of the 5 guys who were regulars out. We had really for like a bunch of real makeshift line, and the fact that's like kind of brings me to the whole point of this game being pretty disappointing. The fact that the line wasn't that noticeable, which is really the first time all season where it's been like, all right, I can't chalk this drive up to being like a bad holding or a dumb false start or just like Mac Jones has no time. We can't look downfield because he's got nothing. We can't run the ball. We have negative.
That's true. You didn't have your excuse, which is like it was a built-in excuse. Usually.
Yeah, we didn't have that excuse, and we still should not have won this game. And I will give kudos. A win is a win. I know that's a phrase, and like I'll accept that. Like they finally won a close game. They did less terrible than the Texans this game. I guess that would be how I would sum this up, especially during the second half. The O-line, like I think it's a little concerning that the best time the O-line's looked all year is when 4 of your 5 starters are out. I don't know what that is. Like I hope Isaiah Wynn, I'm really looking at you, like step up, like coming forward. But yeah, I don't know.
The thing about saying like a win's a win, but then like we spent all last week, we spent like an hour talking about how, but a loss wasn't a loss. You know what I mean? So it's like you can definitely pull negatives out of this week, even though they won, because we can't say a win's a win and then say it was like a brief moral victory last week. You know what I mean? It's not, you can't have both sides of the spectrum. So I remember if it hadn't been for what Adam gave me to chew on before the game, Adam came over and we had ourselves a Sunday. You really missed out, Jake. I think I would have been way more stressed during that game. Like that was such a bad game, but I was baked for the first half of it. So I wasn't even worried for it, you know? So it was sort of like that, you know, all of a sudden you look and they were down, 22-9.
Yeah.
The one positive I'll say is because the Texans were so bad, did you ever think, oh my God, here we are, we're going to lose this game? Like truly believe that? Because to me, I looked at it as like, okay, this is going to be a 22-16 and then they'll take the lead, like at least. And I think that kind of speaks volumes. I had that confidence based on what we saw the previous week and based on how that offensive line was playing. I think that's so like telling of Mac Jones. Like even in a 22-9 game, it obviously takes into account they were playing one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst. But it's like I still had confidence in him, and I think that's pretty telling because there's a lot of teams in the league right now with their rookie quarterbacks that wouldn't be in the same boat. You know what I mean? Like,
that could get ugly really quick with the rookie quarterback. You're down. He's going to press. It's like that turns into 1 interception to 4 real quick.
Right.
For most guys.
So it's like,
I think that's been the feat.
If we lose that game,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You got it. No, you got it.
I was just going to say, if we lose that game, we're coming on here and we're saying we're cancel the season. We started.
Yeah, you're playing for
there was
top
a
10
lot at stake. Yeah, there's a lot at stake in that second half. 1-4 is you're out of it. 2-3. You're still very much in the mix, especially with an extra playoff spot. But Jake, sorry about that.
No, I was gonna say that to Evan's point earlier, like the feedback about Mac Jones, this entire like all we've heard from camp, like preseason, is every time he makes a mistake, he like rebounds right away from it, and that's a pretty like significant trait to have as a quarterback. A lot of guys hang their head, especially young in their career, like hang their head and like make a mistake, and then it's all downhill from there. He seems to be a guy that like makes like that's kind of not to put this on him, but that's something that Brady had in him too.
He gets
where it's
pissed
like
about his mistake. He doesn't get sad about his mistakes.
Yeah, it's
and Mac Jones does have sort of that sulk on the sideline sometimes. But if you see like those flashes to him right after he makes a pick, he's like getting mad. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like oh damn, there's another pick.
Yeah, hang your head. It's like over. Like no, like how many times we see Brady like make a bad play in his career and then like that fired him up and like got him going. And it seems like Mac Jones has similar qualities, which obviously is a pretty admirable thing to have as a quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, I think Mac Jones, I think this game is not necessarily what I would say the one where I'd hang Mac Jones like victory party. But what I will say is Mac Jones came in 15th overall pick. He came into camp and he won the starting job. Mac Jones is in a different situation than like a Trevor Lawrence or a Zach Wilson, where they were given the starting job when they got drafted. That did not happen here. He beat out Cam Newton. We saw that in the preseason. We heard that about that in training camp. And he's proven that he has, honestly, we probably have a very similar record with Cam Newton at quarterback, but I think the quarterback play would be worse. We wouldn't be in that game in Tampa Bay with Cam Newton. That's the difference, I guess. I think we'd still be 2-3 with him. But with Mac Jones, I have more confidence in this team because looking through this past 5 games, quarterback has not really been the issue with this team. It's been this game with the Texans. Like, I don't know what happened. There's just a lot of the game, I felt like the defense had them bottled up. And then some freak play where it was a very un-Belichickian defensive game plan, where I feel like the Texans had some big plays in this game on this defense, which we just saw them limit the Bucs to, which is a much more explosive offense. And now, not looking forward, I guess starting to look forward to Dallas. You're going against another explosive offense, similar to Tampa Bay. And I would imagine that they have a pretty similar defensive game plan against Dallas as they had against Tampa Bay. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I feel like those teams match up relatively similar on offense. I know Michael Gallup's out, but still.
I think they do, in the sense that they can hit you from sort of all angles. But I think the game plan against Brady is so much different than the game plan against Dak Prescott, you know? But I will say, Dak doesn't even strike me, I guess, since his
he doesn't run anymore.
Right. He doesn't. He's still in my head as like a running quarterback, but he hasn't been doing that.
No,
so
maybe you're
he's
right.
not a running quarterback.
Maybe the game plan is very similar. But in my brain, I think of like, okay, you're not just gonna, send for whatever it is that you're not gonna handle Brady like you will Prescott. But maybe you're right, because he's not a running quarterback.
I will say this about the Cowboys. Like, I think with the Bucs strategy, especially in that second half, is like let them run, and I think that like. The Cowboys are going to be like, sure. And
yeah, they want to run.
They want to run. Lead you up.
Yeah, Tony Pollard and Zeke, like that. I mean, and the Pats haven't stopped the run at all. Like, that's been such a weak point of this team. I think the running game honestly scares me more. Like, I could see Dallas just having the ball for the entire game, just like picking up 5-6 yards and first down consistently and just moving the chains, and like just never have the Pats on the field on offense. And I don't know. Someone has to make a stop. I just don't see them right now, the way they've been playing, like be able to handle stopping the run against Dallas. I don't see that.
I mean, I'll say this, and I could be very wrong. I have more confidence going into this week than I probably should. And that has very little to do with the Patriots. But all of a sudden, the national media and the way they're talking about this Dallas team, which I don't buy. I don't know about you guys. I don't buy in on this Dallas team yet. I know they're hot. They honestly played 5 good games. They played Tampa Bay well week 1. They probably should have won, and they played well without question. I saw like today there's stories comparing them to like the '90s dynasty Cowboys teams. I don't think Mike McCarthy's anything. I love Kellen Moore. I like their offense. I like how they run offense. That defense, I will say this. Something that defense has been so big on is like Trayvon Diggs is literally just like a walking turnover. Who's Trayvon Diggs going to take away in this game? Like Jacoby Myers? Like, does that really hurt the Patriots offense that much? Like, there's no like Mike Evans for Trayvon Diggs to take out of this game.
We don't have our biggest strength is that we don't
not having a strength.
but literally, like I watched the Cowboys, and the way they've turned into points is honestly like Trayvon Diggs has been massive for that team. I don't really look at Trayvon Diggs like I don't think he should have that big of an impact on this game, simply because I don't think Mac Jones will look his way. That's obviously having an impact, but it's not going to be the turnover impact. And I also think like I love Micah Parsons. I like that team, but I do think like you can expose a little rookie linebacker, defensive end hybrid who they've already like appointed as this like Hall of Famer. Like I think he's great, but I think Bill knows that these guys are coming in overhyped. It's also a home game. I don't see the Patriots going 0-4 at home to start the season. I like the Patriots, honestly, this week more than I should. I guess what I'm saying. I could be pants, but we're going to find out.
No, I think they definitely have a shot. I think the biggest advantage, like you said earlier, is Mike McCarthy versus Belichick. I mean, talk about a fraud. That guy is any big situation. That guy, since the Packers days, honestly, just finds a way to screw it up. So I think if it's close, Belichick's going to play mind games with McCarthy, and like I could see them he can do something stupid enough to give the game away. And so, yeah, I think the key is to keep it close, because otherwise, if you get down against Dallas, they're just going to run the ball, and then Micah Parsons and that defense is just going to tee off on Mac, and it's like that you got to get up early. And if they do what they did against the Texans against Dallas, they're probably not getting the ball in the second half, and they're probably going to lose a game by 2 or 3 scores. So,
yeah, it's. I know you said you're not totally bought into this Cowboys team yet, Adam, but it's like, to me, and this is gonna sound like I'm super low on the Patriots, which I kind of am here, but I don't mean to sound like such a Debbie Downer, but it's like you don't have to be sold on the Cowboys to think that they can put up 35 points at ease on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, even if they're not, a historic team or a championship or a Super Bowl contender type of thing, I think that, regardless if the Patriots can target some of their defensive weaknesses, or, that their defensive strengths don't take anything out of our game, I still think that the Cowboys, based on how this defense is playing for the Patriots, the Cowboys are going to put up 30 plus points, like, at minimum. And that's where now I wonder, it's like, okay, well then can the Patriots counter that? And I don't say they won't. I just think that that's what the need's going to be. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to win this game like you beat Tampa Bay, or like you played Tampa Bay, keeping it to 2 low scoring games. I think that this is going to be one where you're going to have to score a lot of points, because I think Dallas is going to score a lot of points. So I'm not totally underselling the Patriots, but I think regardless of the defensive side of the ball, or regardless of the coach game plan, I think that the talent on offense for Dallas is like pretty damn alarming.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the weather is going to come into play. I don't know. I think it's going to be nice on Sunday, which is like that helps against hit. I think. I mean, it's been. I think it is. Has been. So it's a ways away. Could change, but I will say with Tampa,
Adam's the weather guy for the rest of the year for our podcast.
Yeah, I'll give you.
You have to. You come to the show with the weather. That's a deal.
But I guess where I say the Cowboys, I feel like are a type of team right now where the national media talking to them like they're that dynasty team. That's not coming from nowhere. Like I know they feel very strongly about the team they have right now. I watched their entire game against the Giants, who the Giants were very much in that game until literally Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Kenny Galladay all go down. But before that happened, the Cowboys weren't running away with that game. I know it ended up being a track meet at the end, but that score did not reflect how that first half of the game went. And I think if the Cowboys play that first half against the Patriots, I like our chances in getting out to a lead. And where I disagree is I don't think the Cowboys are guaranteed 30 points, because I know like the way what Bill's going to do is he's going to give them 3. And he's going to try to be like, you can do whatever you want in the 20s. And hopefully our red zone defense can stop CeeDee Lamb, Zeke, and Tony Pollard. I don't know if they can. I think a little part of me, and I'll be honest, like there's a lot of bias in this take. I still want to believe this Patriots team doesn't suck, because I want to have a football season to come on here and talk about. But in the first 5 games, I know we're going to talk about like who's impressed and who has been a disappointment soon. There hasn't been that many people who have been impressed. Like, I feel like a lot of these guys in the Patriots are underachieving. And so there's really no reason for me to think the Patriots have a chance this game on Sunday, other than just looking at the coaching matchup, knowing it's at home. And I kind of feel like football, more than any other sport, like when a team comes in overhyped, I feel like they're more inclined to kind of like look over the underdog. Like there's more, that any given Sunday thing is more a thing in football than I feel like any other sport in the regular season.
A win for them would be so massive.
Yeah, because then you got the Jets and like
looking at their schedule, like then you can be 4-3. That turns the
season around. You're 5.
They need to win this game. They need to win this game.
Yeah.
So what are your on before we get into, I guess, the who's impressed us, who hasn't? What are your, I guess, score predictions, or how do you see this game going? I know you guys both just said kind of what you want or what needs to happen, but genuine score predictions. Adam, what do you have?
I do think the Patriots win this game, simply because I don't think they start out 0-4 at home. If they do, that is yikes. And I'm going 24-20 Patriots in the upset.
If they hold the Cowboys at 20 points, then yeah, that'd be awesome.
Adam's like selling me to some degree. Like he
is too. I mean, I'm going to take the Pats to a homer.
Me and you are exactly what he's saying. It's like this overhyped. Everyone's thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah,
and that's what we thought about Tampa Bay. What happened? I
know it's Dallas, so there's always money on them. All the money right now is on the Cowboys. That makes me love the Patriots. That doesn't usually go well for bettors. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. My head says 31-23 Cowboys. My heart is gonna say I just don't see the Pats scoring over 30 either, so that's the tough
I
part.
know it's gotta be a low score game.
My heart says 28-25 Pats.
28-25.
Yeah.
That's like okay. I think
I
it's
don't know.
gonna
I
be.
mean, like,
I'll go. What is the spread on this, Adam? Do you know
Um,
what it opened at?
I want
Well,
to say it opened at 4.5. Dallas 4.5.
that sounds
I want
familiar.
to say.
So wow, I was gonna line up right with what I was gonna say. I was gonna say 31-27 Dallas, but I think that if this were to be, say they, I don't think if they win this game, I don't really think it's a close game. I think that they like sack up and it's like a 31-20 game. They win. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that they go back and forth with Dallas's offense. I think that somehow the defense nuts up and they open up Mac Jones and they win by 2 scores. So I think Cowboys probably take it, 31-27 type of thing. But if I get what I want, I'm looking for a, drag your nuts across the overhyped Cowboys, but that's asking for a lot. And I don't know if Santa signs off on my actions this year so far. But all right, let's transition a little bit to. Should we do our survivors really quick, and then we'll get into
yeah,
our sort of one ups and one down. All right, so we have a little bit of an update here. Nothing much changed, but Adam's still undefeated. But that's just because he just we call him Chalky Adam around here. He takes the biggest spread of the week. Doesn't like to have any fun, but he's
It's not true this past week.
That's true. That's fair. And you sweated that one out. But all right. So last week we all took a dub: Patriots, Vikings, and Bucks. They're all off the board for each of us, depending on who we picked. But I'm 3-2. Adam's 5-0, and Jake is 3-2. We have a decent slate this week. I think this is actually a pretty good. Like if you are betting and looking at the spreads this week, this one is one that I've looked at. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I have any like knee jerk like obvious reactions. I know we're not doing the spread here, but I just wanted to note that. But Jake, do you want to start with your pick?
yeah, same thing. I was like looking through this. I'm like, not a lot of obvious picks here. A lot of like weird things happening across the league. Like, do the Raiders flop with the Gruden news, or do they like rally around it? Do the Chiefs like pick it up and like look like the team they should be, or do they kind of like hang their heads because they haven't had any adversity in the last couple of years? I'm gonna go with kind of an upset, but I'm gonna go with the Jags getting their first win over the Dolphins this week.
Jaguars, Dolphins.
Yeah,
What's the quarterback situation now?
Florida.
I think it's still Brissett.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a 9:30 a.m. game. So is it in London or is it Mexico City? No, it could be in London, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I
I don't know.
He did his research for this game. The Jags are filthy in London.
Yeah, it is.
Mexico
It's in
City.
London. It's at Hotspurs Stadium. So yeah, I think the Jags pull off a win.
I don't hate it. I'm gonna say mine, and then Adam, you can go just because you kind of mentioned it. I am going with the Chiefs this week. I think that they're in a pretty good spot to. Again, I think they're like a touchdown favorite. That's not what we're worried about here, but I think that they're gonna bounce back after some serious embarrassment. So what do you think, Adam? What's your pick?
Got a couple 1-4 teams going at it. I'm more betting against a team than betting for a team, so I'm taking Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts.
That was gonna be my second pick. Is between the Colts and the Chiefs. All right, we're getting to a point where a lot of these teams are sort of signed off for us. Still have plenty to go, but all right. So let's get into our, I guess we could say, featured segment of today's episode. Is we're gonna look at these first 5 games that we've now witnessed. I think it's been a decent roller coaster sort of what is this team. But we're going to give you sort of one. Are we doing this at the player level or sort of like anything, like something you've noticed, sort of what's impressed you or who's impressed you? Does it matter?
I think we do player level maybe.
Okay, so or like unit level, I guess, because you could probably say. So we'll do it sort of centered around that, and then obviously then we'll get into what's disappointed. Let's start with disappointed because I think that's way more of like a open conversation. So Jake, who has disappointed you most?
Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, you could pick a lot of guys on this list.
Like,
Yeah, seriously, through the first quarter of the season, you do not want to have that be such an easy pick. I think like there's a lot of different directions you go in this. The guy I want to pick, honestly, and it's hard to fully blame him because he's been hurt. But my biggest disappointment through the first 5 games has been Trent Brown. I know, like I said, he's been injured, but now he's going to be out for at least 7-8 games minimum with that calf injury. This was a guy that has had questions about, like, is he a dog? Right? That's kind of like what's hung over his head as his whole career. We've seen how good he is when he's like on it and he's healthy. And then also you've seen the flip side in other locations like the 49ers or the Raiders where he kind of mails it in. And so it's like, is this guy mailing it in? Like, did he see this team's not that good? And he's like, I'm not playing hard for them anymore. Like, what? I don't know what the situation is, but that calf injury, like, he should be back in the field by now. He's in a contract year. They only have him for 1 year here. Like, this was your turn to, like, his agent's probably kicking himself right now. Like, dude, you're supposed to like ball out this year, cash in again. What team's going to sign you long term if you're gonna dog and mail it in with a calf injury? So he was supposed to be the kind of the leader of this offensive line, solidify, take this line to the next level. He played for like a handful of snaps. They looked good when he was out there, and then we haven't seen him. So I think he's been a disappointment. I think his agent's probably saying he's been a disappointment. I'm sure Belichick's like, what the hell? So I don't know. It doesn't bode well for a guy with that big and with kind of injury concerns and a work ethic concern. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if this continues to not progress fully and we don't really see a lot of Trent Brown this year. That would totally be a disappointment. But I don't know. I feel like it can go in either way right now, just based off his past tendencies. So,
I mean, I feel like I know he's injured, but it's fair. We're not saying like who's played poorly this year. We're literally saying like this team, based on what you wanted to see, are you disappointed? So you're disappointed if someone's injured. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. Yeah. It's totally valid. Thoughts on Trent Brown, Adam, and then you can get into your pick.
Yeah, it's definitely a disappointment. Also, this injury that he had was the same injury that kept him out basically all year last year when he was accused of being a dog in San Francisco. He comes to New England, does great, gets paid by Oakland, now Vegas. Things kind of go to shit there, especially right now. He has this lingering injury. He comes back to New England, which is kind of how we've seen come with Jamie Collins. We've seen this song before. And yeah, it's the same injury. I'm thinking it's probably a bad injury, but it's absolutely disappointing. I'm going forward, like, I would say it's easy to say the entire offensive line has been a big disappointment, but that's, I guess, to pick a singular player that isn't part of the offensive line. But I would say my biggest disappointment so far is Damian Harris. And I don't know if I had
Quinn Nordine.
I was thinking about Jake Bailey, actually, but no, he has been a disappointment too. But anyways, going back to Damian Harris, you trade Sony Michel. This is the first year in a long time where I feel like the Patriots are like, we're having a featured back. You got Damian Harris, then you have a rookie in Ramondre Stevenson, who has Brandon Bolden and JJ Taylor. It was like, and James White, but James White obviously went down. But first and second down was to Damian Harris, and there was no question about that. In past years, it's been kind of a running back by committee thing. And I get the offensive line's been bad, but you got a rookie quarterback. We thought one of the strengths of this team was going to be running the ball. You ran for -1 yards in a game this year. But even more so than that, outside of take away like the one explosive run he had like earlier in the season, you can blame the Miami Dolphins loss on that Damian Harris fumble. You let this past week, Damian Harris fumbled on the goal line again, which should have made them lose again. You can really pinpoint 2 losses, potentially. He's lucky on one player. And I get that the line's been bad, but there's a lot of bad offensive lines in the league. And sometimes you just need your guy to go out there and ball. And I have not seen that from Damian Harris. I came in with high expectations. You have a rookie quarterback. This team was kind of leaning on you. And it's kind of complete 180 where now, like, it's been all on Mac's shoulders, and that's not a recipe for winning. That's not what the Cowboys are going to come and do on Sunday with a guy. But I was still like, Damian Harris, you're not a rookie anymore. Why are you putting the ball on the turf like this? he's going to be out of this. Bill Belichick does not stand for fumbles. Like, it's like, I feel like his biggest pet peeve. It's like the one thing where you can't do that in this team. The fact that, and also fumbles in big spots in the fourth quarter when you're going on to win the game on week 1. And then when you're on the 1 yard line on first down, I think, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
to me, that's been unacceptable, and it's got to get better because his team's not going to win games without him. But he's also not going to be here for the long term if he keeps playing like this.
Well, if I'm Belichick, I'm saying, yo, Damien, I can find a Ben Jarvis Green Ellis in the street right now. Like, that will just give me 3-4 yards and not fumble. Like, there's 1,000 of those guys just hanging around waiting to get signed. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, like, total disappointment, but doesn't, like, there's a realistic chance if he continues that, like, they just replace him with someone else. Like, he's not going to be a Patriot any longer or not be the guy for them anymore longer. So, yeah, another disappointment.
It's you could say the same thing too, like with the offensive line with Trent Brown. You could say the same thing about that entire backfield now. It's like we literally gassed that backfield up like it was no one's business prior to the season. Offensive line in the backfield. That's what's going to be the strength of this team. And both of those are like issues right now. Mine, and I don't think this has really cost them games. Maybe you guys will say it has, but I don't think it's like as or he's as instrumental to down in and down out type of thing. But Jonnu Smith has been incredibly disappointing to me, and that's just based on, again, the expectation that he had prior to. You could say he has, I guess, just as many mistakes, especially that Saints game kind of being like the whole climax of it, as Damian Harris. But to me, I get it. You're like, oh, well, if you were to look at that on paper, be like, oh, your tight end's your biggest disappointment. Like, what's he supposed to do? He's a tight end hybrid receiver or tight end receiver hybrid. Like, I was so excited to see him because that's a guy that you literally could. And we did see it in Tennessee. Like, you could put him in so many different spots and he can make things happen. And we've seen very little get made happen. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's happened because of Jonnu Smith. The plays that he has made, I genuinely think any big fast guy probably could have made. You know, like he hasn't Jonnu'd anyone or anything like that yet. So super disappointing to me. And I think that the tight ends, Hunter Henry, started to come on, but similar to everything that we've all said, I think you could say that unit also has been pretty disappointing. But Hunter Henry, I will say, starting to look like
he's looked pretty good the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, brighter pastures ahead, I guess. But yeah, Jonnu Smith, what do you guys think of that?
No, I agree with you. Like, I mean, he was supposed to be the guy that broke off big runs, made people miss, broke tackles. Like, also, anything we've seen him so far is he shuffles his feet when he tries to catch the ball, and he can't really block. So I don't really know. Like, this was supposed to be the kind of mismatch, jack of all trades, find a way to get the ball in his hands, like a Aaron Hernandez light type of guy, and we haven't seen it. I mean, it could be type of one of those things where all it takes is one play for him to just like get going and get juiced, but we could also be saying that every single week for 17 weeks, like, oh, this is the game that Jonnu like figures it out. He doesn't. So, I mean, they paid him a boatload of money. I mean, you would expect more than 15 catches or whatever he has right now.
I mean, that game against,
they're not even good. Like, they're not mean other than that play action, like touch. Like, I get that was a nice
play. Anybody could do
right.
that.
I'm not
yeah.
snag that.
You don't need to get paid like $10 million to do that.
Exactly.
But they could have ran that to like Huanao Anui, and he would be fine.
Tim Wright was like the goat of that play.
But like on Jonnu Smith's game against New Orleans in itself was literally might be the worst game I've ever seen a professional athlete play out there. So yeah, I agree that Jonnu Smith has definitely been a disappointment. What I will say as a positive is, and to Hunter Henry, is those guys, they played 5 games for his team. It was it's still like kind of a weird training situation with COVID, and you have a rookie quarterback. You didn't even know who your quarterback was.
Even if that's not the case, that's five games is a small amount of time to get adjusted to.
Totally.
Offense, so yeah.
I'm not calling those guys busts for this team or even this season yet, which is why like Trent Brown, you've been here before. I know it's an injury, but that's a disappointment. Damian Harris, like this isn't your first year. Like, you don't have that excuse. But I would say, to those guys, I would even throw like to Jonnu Smith too. I know we're kind of doing one per person. Like Nelson Aguilar, I put in the same route as Jonnu Smith, as we gave him a boatload of money. He has not really come on at all.
Did you
expect
more from Aguilar or Smith, do you think?
I definitely expected more from Johnny Smith, and I think
Yeah.
Nelson Aguilar. I don't know how much of a shot he's getting as a deep ball receiver, where Josh McDaniels is calling plays
Yeah.
where they don't look deep. So that's also, I mean, the biggest disappointment, honestly, I think of the season, I would say, is like Josh McDaniels. Like I wouldn't even put it on a player. Like Josh McDaniels.
Jake's kicking
Jake,
himself for not.
Yeah, Jake.
I know.
Yeah.
We could go coaches.
Yeah,
We can
I mean,
cancel
I'll
this
take-
clip and redo
I'll take it back right now.
So I guess should we pivot to trying to be a little positive ending this? So what of our Evan,
Yeah.
what would you say your biggest who's exceeded expectations? Who's
exceeded
exceeded
expectations, or at least so. And I don't know if this is because it started to come on strong. And I'm thinking more of like, I think the obvious answer, like I feel like we have to take Mac Jones off the table. I don't.
Yeah,
think
I agree with that.
Like, be a little.
I
was gonna
that.
say that if you didn't say that, like we're taking Mac Jones off the table. Yeah.
My thing, and I don't like. I think that this is more of a recency bias, but I've started to become really, really impressed with Kendrick Bourne. I think that he's a guy that's started to be able to use in like different types of spots. And Adam, you said to me on Sunday, and I hadn't thought about it before, but he's very similar to Jacoby Myers, which is true, but it's not like they're so niche that you can't have both them out there. But Kendrick Bourne to me has been someone that I really had like when they got him, I knew who he was, but had really no like opinion on him, right? I'm starting to like him now over the last 2 or 3 weeks maybe. So I think that that's one that I'm gonna say has been a standout positive to me, especially because they went and got him. It's nice to see something starting to click of a guy that they went out and got.
I was gonna say Kendrick Bourne too, just because I feel like he's been their best signing on offense.
Yeah,
he's shiftier than I thought he was. I thought he was more of a catch the ball and get down type of guy, but he's got some wiggle to his game. And it seems like Mac of all their additions, maybe Hunter Henry the last 2 weeks, like you mentioned, I feel like Mac trusts Bourne. I probably trust Myers 1 and then Bourne 2, in terms of like who's on a connection with. Whereas we saw with Nelson Aguilar, that interception, it seemed like they kind of talked about it after. Like, I don't know if that was fully on Mac, that maybe Nelson didn't come across the way he thought he was going to. And it seems like whereas Bourne and Mac have been kind of on the same page like most of the season so far. So he's definitely like played way above his expectations. I think he's been better than Aguilar and Johnny Smith, who they paid more money to bring in. So
yeah, I'm kind of echo you guys. We went into the season kind of thinking they were going to run the ball, use the tight ends. And when this offense has actually looked a little bit, I mean, it's been tough sledding most drives, but when their drives actually clicked, like that drive against Tampa Bay, when they went like 7 for 7, like they've been going outside. And Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers, I would say, are those two guys actually have been the bright spots of this offense as far as I would say exceeding expectations. I feel like just about every other position player on this offense, we could have, I mean, we chose one guy each, but you could have chose any of those guys for disappointments. So I would agree. Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, like those two wide receivers, those guys are doing more than what I expected them to do coming into the season.
Yeah, I mean, is there any? You think so? We mentioned Aguilar as a disappointment, Hunter Henry as a disappointment, Jonnu Smith as a disappointment. Do you think? And then we mentioned Josh McDaniels as a disappointment. Do you think that is sort of tied to like all encompassing the offense that they've run? Because to me, I think that they've actually put Jonnu Smith in some spots and it hasn't clicked. The Hunter Henry one, I could say, okay, that's almost more like a scheme. Like they're not even looking to the biggest red zone target they have. Where do you guys come out on that? Because now that we have like the negatives laid down, what is it tied to? Because I don't think that's just a matter of, oh, well, the Trent Brown or Damian Harris or Jonnu Smith, like they just suck this year. Like, is there any schematic to this that is making them suck? Do you buy into that?
Yeah, I think we could definitely put. I mean, we were saying all year, put blame on McDaniels. Seems like he has a new boat, and he doesn't know any of the buttons on this boat right now, and so he's just kind of
what I almost feel like
driving around like I have no idea what I'm doing. That's what it feels like.
It's floating, but
floating.
He's not getting anywhere.
It's floating. We're not sinking, so we're doing okay in that sense. But there's a lot of bells and whistles. I have no idea what they do, and I paid $500,000 for it or whatever.
I hated that analogy, and now I like it.
You like it, right?
Yeah, but I also feel like what it kind of stems from is the offensive line play has been really, for the large part, bad. But then on drives where they are moving kind of between the 20s, and they do look okay. Josh McDaniels has no faith in them. So then it's like he goes really conservative in the red zone because he's like, can I run a play action pass from the 15 right now? No, Mac might get sacked. He could get hurt. I turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
So then I feel like McDaniel's biggest problem this season, and I feel like he's been doing a somewhat better job this last couple of weeks. So hopefully that continues. But it's almost like he hasn't really figured out when to ride the momentum of like, okay, we have a good drive. Let's trust Mac. Let's trust the line. And let's trust these guys that we just paid a ton of money to in the offseason, pretty uncharacteristically, to execute. I feel like he's like, all right, we're having a good drive. Now it's just, we're okay with 3. Like, he's so okay with 3 points.
Yeah.
We're having one shot in the end zone on third down and running like 2 draws where they can't run the ball. So I would say it's a combination of everything, but I don't want to. We already talked about the negative. All right. So we got Kendrick Bourne. Jake, who's your?
Yeah,
who's your
it was.
guy?
Like I said earlier, it's unfortunate that it's way easier to come up with negatives than positives for guys. I was torn between 2 guys on defense, but the guy I'm going to go with is Barmore. I think as a rookie, he's obviously was a very talented player. Was pretty excited that he felt in the second round because I thought there was a potential that he was one of those guys they would have taken in the first round. And I think in a normal year where Kraft's not breathing down his neck, I wouldn't have been shocked if Barmore was their pick in 15. But he's been a guy, he's playing more and more every single week. And it seems like he flashes like a couple times a game. And it seems like he's a guy that's like, it's getting harder and harder for the Pats to take him off the field. I think he's an upgrade over some of the guys they signed. I think he's playing better than almost anyone on that D line. He hasn't had a sack yet, but he's been in the backfield a few times. And he's one of those guys that I think like he's shown he has the potential to be an absolute game wrecker. And either we see it this year or maybe next year or whatever, but I think he's a guy that could flash like Pro Bowl top 5 D tackle potential. And so I think that was the ceiling for this guy when he got drafted, but to see it this early has actually been pretty one of the more positives on this team. Seems like a guy you can kind of build around your front 7 on defense. So that's a pretty big positive for them. It looks like they've nailed this draft class. So that's one step going forward for potential reload, whatever they're doing right now.
Yeah, Jake, for mine, I also was stuck between 2 defensive players and Barmore, and I bet I'll say who the other guy is when it's my turn. But what I love about Christian Barmore is at Alabama, he played great in big games. He liked the spotlight, but the thing that I like most outside of his pure talent, I feel like he plays with an edge. Like, he seems mean. We haven't had a mean defensive lineman, I feel like, in a while. I feel like they've been, especially an interior pass rusher, honestly, since like, he kind of reminds me a little bit about like Richard Seymour. It's obviously high praise to Christian Barmore, but like that type of player who can push the pocket back, be disruptive in the middle. Like, we've had good run stuffers in the middle for a while, but have we had that presence that's really like rushed the interior? And I know he hasn't gotten a sack, but he's been close. He's helped other guys get sacks. And yeah, I agree with you. He's been great. And I hope he keeps it going.
All right, who is your pick, Adam?
This is kind of the easiest one. I feel like he's been the best player.
This has to be like on the Mac Jones level, but
the
we
Mac
didn't
Jones.
clarify.
Yeah.
So all right,
Yeah,
you're good.
I will. No, it is on the Mac Jones level.
No, it's good. It's a good take though.
I do think I can clarify that although it's on the Mac Jones level, this is a guy, we've had a lot of signings this offseason. And this, if you guys don't already know, it's obviously Matt Judon. We've had a lot of signings that have been disappointments. And this is a guy who came from the Ravens, who I actually really liked him on the Ravens. As you guys know, I like a lot of ex-Ravens players, as I established. But he has done everything from training camp. He's been the best player in the field for them. In preseason, he was best player in the field for them. And he actually translated it game in, game out. Like, I know Matt Judon's good for a sack, or he's good for a big play. And he has been disruptive. And it's not, I just feel like he seems like he's already like the heartbeat of this team, which I think is slightly a concern that like a new guy like is already like who everyone's looking to as the leader. But I also think the fact that he's established himself as the leader of this franchise, when you have guys like Dante Hightower and Devin McCourty in this locker room, who on that defense, people have been looking up to for over a decade, I think it's great that a guy can just come and he's playing above his contract right now. And that's special. Like, I almost feel like he's not getting enough national attention because the Patriots have been kind of not a team that's been shown the national spotlight as a 2-3 team who's just beat the Jets and the Texans. But Matt Judon, I mean, pull up. Donovan Mitchell loves him, so
He's
I got
national attention from him.
Yeah,
guy with a red shirt.
He's balling again. No, he said he's hooping again, right?
Hooping.
That's amazing. Get Donovan Mitchell to Boston too. He might if Matt Judon gets Donovan Mitchell to Boston.
Judon could maybe be a recruiter.
I got the tweet. This is I still don't know if Donovan Mitchell just fully doesn't get who he is. He does tag him this time, but this is Donovan Mitchell's here. He goes, man, I come out of practice and they saying the dude with the red sleeves is hooping again. It's like
unbelievable. Jersey swap, that's something that has to happen.
They have such a little chemistry going. But yeah, Adam, I think I said it a couple episodes ago, and it's not like I'm a groundbreaking take, but I genuinely think Matthew Judon's going to follow in this Stephon Gilmore sort of path in terms of he's good, really good. Bill gets him, and then a year later, 2 years later, he's a defensive player of the year. Like, that's what I see.
And then we could trade him for a 6th rounder.
Yeah, well, hey, you want to, yeah, whatever.
I'll start doing a mock 2026 mock draft with add a 6th rounder in there.
Yeah, maybe we forego the lateness of Stephon. We'll just stick to what happened early on.
Yeah,
that's what we're thinking. All right, so those were our sort of biggest disappointments, our biggest positives / what impressed us. We have anything else we want to discuss before signing off episode 7?
No, I'm good. I think we covered a lot. I hope Adam's right. Yeah, I hope Adam's right about this Sunday, and me and you are wrong, Evan. And we can come on this podcast next week and give Adam a pat on the back for nailing it.
All right. I hope that's the case too. All right, we will catch you guys in
getting dark there in Maine, Adam.
I know. I got dark real quick.
Still look great. But all right, we'll catch you guys in episode 8. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and everyone blow a kiss to Adam because that's what he's doing.